Hey Emma,
Yes, Madelyn.
what do you call it when you have too many games to play and not enough money?
I don't know. What do you call it?
2020! Hello and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Did that one get too real?
Is just the year just the joke? There's no pun in there?
Yeah, because there's so many games coming out. I decided to keep it simple.
I thought there would be like a double meaning to it, and I was thinking like hindsight is 2020, but that doesn't make any sense.
I thought about doing like a game of the Nier joke, like if Nier was going to be your top game. But but it didn't come out. It didn't come out this year, so Game of the Nier isn't any good.
Game of the Niercade
doesn't make any sense.
The
Niercade. I could have done a Robert de Niro
What?
joke, like Nero Automata. Robert de Niro Automata. Like the Irishman.
I would have loved to know how you would set up.
This is exactly how I think of these jokes. I start to think of like, what are words that rhyme with each other? Oh, Robert De Niro Automata. What's Robert De Niro been in? The Irishman. And that's how it's constructed. All in about the 20 seconds before we hit go on the microphones.
Yep.
It's like panicked, like, what rhymes with fishy-pocalypse? Or something. I don't know. That was just, again, that was the first word that came out of my mouth. I did not plan that either. So we're just spiraling. Hey, I'm your very talented at jokes host, Madelyn.
I'm your other host, Emma.
I like that you're always the other host.
I don't need any definitions to be special.
Dang. I just got wrecked. Speaking of special things, hey, this is a very special episode of Talk This. Because you might be thinking, if you're a person that remembers the games that we do week to week, in which case, maybe you should host the show. Madelyn and Emma, weren't you supposed to be talking about Quake and Baba Is You? Look at that. I am 75% sure those are the correct two games.
They're the games we're doing, so if we picked something else, sorry about that.
They're the games that we remember picking, and that's really what counts, our infallible memories. And listener, you would be right about that, but because today is December 29th, I think, we're in that time of year where the dates are a little nebulous.
Yeah, it is.
It's December something, 20-something. We decided it's time to talk about not just our games of the year, but that's right, our games of the decade.
See, there's some debate going on about whether this is actually the end of the decade.
There's no debate. One person somewhere said, actually the end of the decade is after 2020, and everyone said, no, you're wrong. That's not a debate.
I think there's more than one person.
Still not a debate. Absolutely wrong.
But regardless of the truth anyway, we have to roll on that SEO, so we can't
we'll
wait
do
till
it
next
again
year.
at the end of next year. Like our game of the decade. Why do you think people freaked out about Y2K? It wasn't Y2K1 that they freaked out about, the end of the millennium.
Why is it Y anyway?
Year, I think.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Why? Why?
Y2K? That's a question that some gamers ask themselves while playing certain games.
2K. That's what their thing sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
That took you a minute.
Yeah, it did.
So this week, instead of talking about those two games, we're going to be capitalizing on that SEO, regardless of whether or not we are wrong. It is definitely the end of the year. No one can take that away from me.
Well, it depends on what calendar you're using,
Sure, we'll do another one at Rosh Hashanah, or we'll do another one for Chinese New Year.
Yes,
we'll just do every week that we'll find a calendar that ends and we'll do our game of the year. It'll be very boring because it will not roll over very much.
Yeah.
And no one will listen to the show.
Yeah, good plan.
So that's our 2020 resolution here at Talk This.
Drive you all away.
With endless game of the year episodes. But this week we're going to do the first, apparently, of many. Start out by talking about our games of the year. Move on to our games of the decade, or our games of the year and our games of the Niercade, depending on your opinions. And it's going to be a grand old time. So, Emma, you did a much more organized job of picking your games than I did. So
not of the year. I haven't thought about the year at all, basically.
Oh, neat. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your 4th place game of the year?
It's my 4th place game of the year. Well, let's see. What did I play this year? At the beginning of the year, I played Kingdom Hearts 3. Mm-hmm. That's sure up there. Probably might be my game of the year, actually.
Wow.
Based on the statistical place I put it in Game of the Decade, it's probably my game of the year.
That doesn't always count. Game of the Decade is a much kind of wider lens.
I guess so, yeah. And then I played some other games this year. What were they?
You played a lot of games. God knows.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have my convenient what I played journal back then, so I couldn't log this. Well, I played. Let's not beat around the bush here. I played Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Right. Did you? I don't think you ever mentioned that on the show. Yeah, listeners, this is going to be a much more organized thing, at least on Emma's side, next year. Because I got her a nice little journal to keep track of all her playing, so she could just go through and read her thoughts from there. Yeah. And everyone will be like, wow, the podcast has grown so much in the past year. And it'll really just be that Emma wrote things down.
Yes. My Switch year in review reminded me that I played Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition this year. I don't think that'll count, and also it wouldn't be up there anyway, I don't think.
Are we only counting games that came out in 2019 as our 2019 games of the year?
You can do whatever you like,
oh my gosh, okay,
because
fine.
You play games when you play games, okay?
You're right. I am in gamer preschool. Go ahead.
I played Baba Is You. I haven't actually finished that, but I go back to it every once in a while.
You can't talk about Baba Is You this week. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm just mentioning that I played it.
Even if it's your game of the year, you can't.
It's not. I played Luca, Born of a Dream for a while this summer. I enjoyed that a lot. It was like Nier Automata Light, which means it was Kingdom Hearts Light.
Brutal.
It's not brutal. It's honesty.
It's still brutal. It's okay.
I saw someone describe Nier Automata as the Criterion Collection's Kingdom Hearts, and I thought, yeah, that's true.
I don't think there's enough big friendship energy in Kingdom Hearts to...
In Kingdom Hearts?
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Oh, wow. Edit that out. Don't let me say that. I didn't mean it. I mean, there's never enough big friendship energy is what I mean to say, but I don't think there's enough big friendship energy in Big Boy Kingdom Hearts.
Madelyn, who has played just Route A. So.
I mean, I get that they're friends. I get that they're buddy-buddy and that they're going to get all buddy-buddy.
Okay. Well, the smaller amounts of friendship energy, I think, is part of the Criterion Collection's brand, right? So.
I guess so. Yeah, it just depends on if you do think one bond.
Again, you have not finished this game. I just want to point that out, so I cannot debate you about this.
Do you think there's a lot less Mickey Mouse in it?
The big friendship energy perhaps is more meta than you might expect. Okay, I'll just say that in Nier Automata. But you're sidetracking me because I did not play that this year.
I'm
sorry. Did I play anything after Fire Emblem?
Pokemon.
I've been playing some Pokemon. None of those can count because I haven't finished them. Haven't finished Pokemon Death Stranding, or I guess those are. I still have Control sitting around that I need to play. I played some Code Vein. That also would probably not be my game of the year, although it's perfectly fun. I'm just very bad at it.
Bloodborne?
No, Code Vein.
No, I was asking for other games that you've played.
I have not played Bloodborne.
Indivisible.
Yes. Why would you say Bloodborne?
Isn't that the other one with Indivisible? And here's me embarrassing myself, listeners.
The other one with... Bloodstained. Okay.
Okay, I was close.
Bloodborne is one of the Souls-like games.
Right. Somebody was talking about it on Twitter, and it got in my head.
Yeah.
And I knew there was another Blood game that went with Indivisible.
You jumped off Code Vein, and I thought you were saying, like, it's basically just anime Bloodborne, you know?
That's a more intelligent comment than I would be able to make about that game. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there.
But yeah, I played some Bloodstained. I still haven't finished that either. I have to go back to it. And I played Indivisible, which I did not finish and will not finish because that last boss battle is some BS, and I won't do it. So I guess it's Fire Emblem Three Houses and Kingdom Hearts 3.
You gotta pick one.
Those are really the only two that I unabashedly enjoyed this year, I think. Or at least, you know, I guess Luca I pretty unabashedly enjoyed too, but I don't think I've completely finished all that game has to offer. I have to go back to that too. This is a running theme, you know. Do we want to just read off my 2 pages of backlog on my Google Doc?
We'll have it. It's scrolling right now in the subtitles. See it? It's like under in the video feed, right? We've got our little ticker tape, and it's just going to scroll throughout the entire rest of the episode.
That's about how long it would go, yeah.
So you've got to choose.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably Kingdom Hearts 3. It's above Fire Emblem the Oz is on my Game of the Decade list, so.
But again, I don't think there's anything contradictory about something being higher on your game. And I realize this is controversial, but I don't think there's anything contradictory about something being higher on your Game of the Decade list.
Well, how I
than
made
the
it
Game of the
is
Year list.
the 20 that are ranked on my Games of the Decade list are ranked in order of favoritude. And then the honorable mentions are like things that I probably couldn't go without mentioning as defining my decade.
Can you define favoritude for everyone?
How much they are my favorite.
Is there anything about attitude that goes into that? Or no?
No,
just okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just checking Aya's understanding.
Yes. So yeah, I'll go with Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, it's, you know, it's a pretty typical answer for us, but I didn't have a lot of the problems that
make your pitch for it. There are plenty of people out there that no, I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard. It's harder to enjoy it when you live with Kingdom Hearts' biggest cynic, but just being like, that doesn't make sense. What are they gonna explain what the box is? Just like 20 times.
Pitch it. You can buy it for $30 right now. You can buy every single game in the Kingdom Hearts collection for $30.
Money is no object to me. I am I'm Scrooge McDuck.
Well, it might be object to them. If you have a PlayStation 4, you can buy the entire Kingdom Hearts series so far for $30. I mean, then you have to pre-order Remind, so I guess $60, but that's still very good.
And you definitely have time to play them all before Remind comes out.
Yeah.
Just quit your job. It's fine.
That's pretty much... I played so much Fire Emblem this summer, mostly because I was only playing Fire Emblem and applying for jobs, so... And I got through that in like a month.
Emma's Switch Year in Review is scary. It's frightening. It's like, Nintendo probably should have sent someone to be like,
you know what? If you do the math, I was playing in August. August was my biggest month. And I think I was probably playing approximately
20 hours a day.
3 hours a day.
20 hours a day.
3 hours a day.
But like, okay, what about if you eliminate days that you didn't play? I wonder what your average time is.
I don't think there was a day I didn't play. So it probably veered back and forth between 7 to 1 hour.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I again want to stress that literally the only other thing I was doing was applying for jobs. So I really needed something, you know?
Petting dogs.
Yeah, but
eating occasionally.
That just
hopefully.
happens. That just happens between, like, during both the Fire Emblem and the job application.
Okay, so you didn't quite... I'm sorry, I distracted you by yelling with the box. And about money. I'm not Scrooge McDuck. You're right, I'm just an average duck. Why should I play... Why is Kingdom Hearts 3 so good?
You know, I'm never really sure if I really should be... I mean, I guess Josh has gotten into it his Josh way, but it takes a certain kind of person, I think, to get into Kingdom Hearts as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not sure I would have the same relationship with it if I hadn't played it as a child.
That's definitely true. I am still worried that one day Josh is going to come to me and be like, I actually don't like this. I just felt like I had to keep playing it. He's listening right now, not literally in this space, but like as he's listening to this podcast, he's probably like telling me like, how dare you say that? But anyway, go on.
But it's a series that has a lot of it messes with Disney's perfectly calculated brand image, for one thing, which, you know what, in these days, go for it.
Do I need to? I've started to feel a twinge of guilt about Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, uh-oh. Am I just feeding the evil empire?
I mean, at this point, like, I don't know. I think that if you're going to support a Disney product, go for the one that just totally...
I try to tell myself,
totally
like,
puts Mickey in a big black coat and makes him, you know, evil, basically. Makes him a gaslighter.
Nobody else believes that. Only I believe that.
Maybe it's just a commentary on Disney as a whole.
Ooh.
You know? But also, it just has a lot of things to say about identity and what makes us who we are, and finding the body and place and soul that's right for us. And I find a lot of those things very moving. And even if you can't get into the story itself, it's just a lot of fun to play, you know? It's got fun gameplay. And even the weird ones have fun gameplay, you know? Like, I was replaying Chain of Memories, and putting it on the harder difficulty made the boss fights, like, super fun. I was really surprised.
But you hated the rest of it, right?
Well, yeah, the grunt work was a little bit difficult, but it was a good time. So, you know, they're just fun to play.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that your game of the year, though, would come down to it's just fun to play? I feel like that's a kind of an anti-talk this. Not anti.
Well, that's not what it came down to.
I know it's not what
you
it came
asked me to
down
make
to.
a pitch. You didn't really make me ask me to describe why it was my game of the year.
I'm
it was
sorry.
my game of the year because I sobbed openly during a certain ending sequence, you know?
It does, and
I literally sobbed again when Madelyn played it.
I know. Yeah, I have mentioned in Clickbait Boyfriend that watching because, you know, I watch through just the cutscenes to get images these days, because I just, like, there aren't enough memes for Kingdom Hearts 3 out there for me to just be like, Kingdom Hearts memes.
Yeah.
And have good ones come up for the very esoteric things that Josh thinks are worthy of commentary.
Yeah.
Like, how many times has he talked about Orlando Bloom? I'll give you a hint. There's one more coming.
You mean you can find tons of Lingering Will images?
Ah, but I've already used that. I can't be Lingering Will every single time.
Lingering Will Turner.
This, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3, it's been Schmear Schmeitly. It's like, nobody talks about Keira Knightley. There's no fun jokes about that. So anyway, I've watched through literally this entire 10 hours of cutscene in that game now, and I'm at the very end for this upcoming last edition of Clickbait Boyfriend. Not last edition, but last for a time. It lasts Kingdom Hearts 3 until Remind edition. And it is all much more affecting without the gameplay in between. Without the disappointing, like, oh, these people who were the final bosses of their games, I can now defeat in 2 minutes.
See,
in
I
the
didn't have
labyrinth.
that problem
I
for me.
I know. I just wanted it to be hard. So I'm going to have to go back on critical mode. I know the answer. I'm answering my own questions here. But it's moving to watch it. That orchestral version of Simple and Clean should be illegal. You can make me do anything with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been enjoying it that way. I want to play it again, except I have a lot of other games to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying. It's a good pick. I don't know what my game of the year is going to be. It's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
I made a list of all the games I played this year. Would you like to hear them? I'll run through them real quick. At the beginning of the year, I was still finishing Persona 5. Persona 5 that I started 2 years ago on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the picture the other day that came up with my man saying, Champ McDude, that is my name.
Yeah.
So I was still finishing Persona 5 at the beginning of the year. That was a good one. Although it took me a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year of I finally played games that took me a long time to play. Which is something I've not really had done that much in the past. I played many Kingdom Hearts games. I played Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously. But I think that I also finished... I'm a little unclear on this. I'm not quite sure when I finished Dream Drop Distance and when Josh finished Dream Drop Distance. I thought it was pretty close together because, again, I think I said this on the podcast last week too, but I had to fight Xemnas 30 times.
Right.
So that definitely inflated the runtime there because I was a little underleveled. And obviously Kingdom Hearts back cover. True. That's my game of the year, honestly. Kingdom Hearts back cover. One strong contender, even though I have not played it that much since the month that it came out, for my game of the year, surprisingly, it's Crash Team Racing. Just for the fact that we have been calling on this show for a remake, and just in life, for a remake of Crash Team Racing for years.
Right.
It's been finally given to me. I hope it's opened the door for a remake of Crash Bash that will also inevitably get laden with microtransactions. Don't really know how you would do that with Crash Bash, but I'd like to see them try.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. One of the things is really hard.
I don't know.
There are, like, different mini games. And
I don't know.
one of them is really hard. Anyway, so you could, like, skip that. I'm handing out ideas here. Just want to say that. Another strong contender of my game of the year is Civ 5.
Mm-hmm.
For single-handedly getting me through our flights to Japan.
Right.
Still haven't finished that game. Just a little sad.
It's a little sad.
It became clear that I was going to win. And so it just felt like it was hard to make Josh play with me anymore. Because it's like, well, who's going to win? I mean, it's going to be me.
There could be a last-minute twist.
I don't think so. You're right, but I disagree.
Sudden natural disaster strikes your land.
Yeah. I had originally put that I played Stardew Valley this year, but that's incorrect. I have not played it since 2018. So I'm afraid to pick it up again.
Maybe that's for the best.
Maybe it is. We'll see how stressful 2020 gets and whether that's something... I don't know. I'm afraid I'll go back and they'll be like, where were you? And I know it's not like Animal Crossing, but it feels like it could be like Animal Crossing. I also played Fire Emblem Three Houses. It would probably not be my game of the year because of the way I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Made it last way too long.
Yeah.
I was like real ready for it to be over, but I really wanted to get all the supports.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't play it in the optimal way.
Yeah.
But I also knew that I was not going to play another run through.
Yeah.
So I had to play it that way. It's tricky. I played Assassin's Creed and finished Assassin's Creed. That's definitely not my game of the year. I'm excited to play 2. But it was too much the same.
Mm-hmm.
We played Wolfenstein.
Oh, right, we did. I forgot about that.
I still need to cancel my PlayStation membership.
Oh, dear.
I've made a mistake. It's only like $10 a month, so it's been like every time I see it on my credit card statement, I'm like, oh man, I should remember to cancel that. And I haven't.
Oh, Madelyn.
So my game of the year is the PlayStation Network. I played The World Ends With You.
Right.
That was a good one. It's up there on my top songs of the decade.
Well, yeah.
For me.
Yeah, for you.
Get ready for Dead Nation. I realize that's not the lyric, but that's really what I thought it was for a very long time. But Rise Up Like a Vortex Cortex is one of my most quoted video game lines of the year. You'll have to think about yours. But I don't know. I think maybe my game of the year, I don't know. I'm getting bored with it. It's really hard to pick a game of the year for me this year. I saw some think piece that was like, this was a great year for good games. And even just in my limited playing, I agree with that. I don't think I played anything that was like, this knocked me out of the park this year. Mm-hmm. There was no, story awakening like The Last of Us.
You've really settled on this, haven't you?
I just think it's funny.
This is your joke now.
I know it's dumb. You don't have to make me feel dumb about it being dumb. The whole point is that it's dumb. But yeah, I think maybe, just for the haters out there, maybe my game of the year is Pokemon Sword.
Yeah. I see you having fun with it.
I have been having fun with it. I'm at the point of the game now, so folks, I've caught like 355, 356 Pokemon or so. And really that number is more like 370-ish. Because like I'll be able to get a Grookey when I just do a complicated 3-way trade from Josh's game to Emma to me. And that whole evolutionary line. And Emma has a couple already from S.H.I.E.L.D. that she'll be able to trade me. And Emma and I will be able to swap fossils to get the fossil Pokemon. So, and then of those 30, I'm really relying on Emma for about like 25 of them or so. So my playthrough is more or less over. But I have really, it got me back into the series. It's the first one that I've played. It's probably the only one that I have played this decade that I only played this decade, I think. I didn't actually look up when Diamond and Pearl came out, so that could be wrong. And certainly, over various breaks, I went back to play old ones. But it's definitely the one that I've played the most of this decade, and the only, I believe, new one of this 10 years that I played.
I figured it out, by the way.
You figured what out?
The Pokeball throwing. dependent on the level of your Pokemon that you have out.
Is it really?
Because I was having a lot of trouble with one of the Pokemon. I don't remember which one it was now. And I had one of my level 30 Pokemons out, and it was like level 35. And then I switched Jumpy out, it was level 40, and it caught it no problem.
I'll have to look it up.
I was trying to catch you a Ponyta, but I couldn't even catch one for me. So
That's very nice of you, Emma.
yeah. I'm still in that area, so I'll see if I can find a few. But I threw 3 Great Balls. This was before I figured out the Jumpy trick. I threw 3 Great Balls that got to the last one, and then I killed it.
Yeah. Typical.
That's me.
I did watch a video on Pokeball mechanics for like the old games at some point, but I am sure it is 20,000 times more complicated now. Because I read something that was like, really, there's no point in getting it past half health in like some of the old games.
Dang.
Yeah. I might be making that up. I might be exaggerating, but it was something to that effect. And I don't know how it works in these games, but I would be interested. I'm sure there's a lot of complicated mathematics. So I'll get to tell all my math kids, like, guess what? You could program Pokeballs one day. And they'll be like...
Game Freak Blood!
I'll spend the rest of my session arguing about Pokemon. That'll be great. But yeah, it's been really fun. I like giving my Pokemon dumb names. They're not as dumb as Josh's, but they're close. And it's been cool to feel like I have the opportunity to catch them all. Even if I'm ultimately relying on my sister to catch a bunch of rare Pokemon to send to me, which she will never do.
You never know. Maybe I'll luck into one or something. People keep offering me trades and that, and I just don't care enough to like look up which kind of Pokemon they want, so I just say no, and I never plan to go back to them.
See, when you trade with them, it blacks out all the Pokemon that aren't the one they want.
Yeah, but like also but the thing is I'd have to go catch another one.
Oh, that's fair.
So that just seems like such a hassle. So those people can just suffer.
Suffer.
Anyway,
yeah, I think the wild area is awesome. Wild area was super cool. I'm a little tired of it now. I've been there, done that. With the wild area in particular. And I've gotten my butt kicked in the battle tower one too many times already. Which is depressing. But it's been really fun. And yeah, I it's good. It's nice to feel like I'm almost done with it. Like I'm feeling much less called to playing it, which is good because I can head into the new year like a fresh slate of games. But yeah, I think that's my game of the year. Kingdom Hearts, close.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Didn't quite make the cut. So, shall we talk about some decade stuff?
Sure, let's talk about the decade.
How did you feel about this decade in games?
I mean, it was good. Yeah. As I was making a top 20 list for myself.
Which looks slick.
That'll be out on my Twitter later today.
Looks slick AF.
And I was realizing, because as I was doing this, I also updated the top 15 games that I have on my Twitter header, because I did some reflecting on certain games. But I have a big gap, like, from, like, 2011 to 2015, called High School. I mean, there's certain games in there that I did get around to playing, like The Last of Us. But I really just did not play any games while I was neck deep in theater. So all of my favorite games are, like, from before this decade or from the latter half of this decade. So my top 20 list of this decade is rather heavily stacked. It looks like I have a lot of recency bias. Let's just say it like that. And maybe it's true, but I don't think it's a matter of, like, preferring the games to the ones before, but just a matter of I haven't really played the games in that time period. Because what I did for a basic thing was I went through Wikipedia's year list for each year. And just marked down the games that I had played. And I think it was like 2012, and it was like, you played no games this year.
That's rough, buddy.
It was one of those years. So it was like, well, you haven't played anything.
Did not play a game.
You've not played a game from this year in your entire life. So
Emma's resolution for 2020 is to go back and play the 2012 catalog.
No. Not quite like that, no.
There are a bunch of games that I have no concept of when games came out, if they haven't come out in the past, 4 or 5 years, maybe. Even that is rough. Last 2 or 3 years, really. So, for example, did you know that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 came out in late 2009? So we were almost certainly playing it in 2010?
No.
Now you do.
Now I do.
Emma and I won't rehash it here, but we had a sort of a heated debate about when we got a PS3 and a Wii to a lesser extent, but I felt confident about that one. But we have not been able to pin down when we got a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think that maybe I got it for college. That sort of sounds familiar. But the trouble I was having, because Madelyn was telling me that, she finished Kingdom Hearts 2.
Okay, so let me tell this.
No, we're doing this quickly, so you are not going to tell the story.
It was an emotional thing to finish Kingdom Hearts before I went to college. That's all. It's a one-sentence story. That's all I wanted to say.
And she said, I played it on the PS2. And I was like, are you sure we had the PlayStation 2 that long? But maybe it's also a matter of I don't really remember us having the first PlayStation, even though I know we did.
We did.
But it's all sort of blended together as PlayStation 2 from about the age of 5 to apparently the age of 16. And that seems like a very long time to have had that.
I do think at one point we got another one. I do not think it was the same system for roughly 10 years. Because that just seems impossible. Right? And I think we had I don't know. I think we had the fat one and then we had the slim one.
See, I don't remember the fat one.
I don't either, but we definitely got the PlayStation 2 around the time that Kingdom Hearts was coming out, because I can't imagine us finding that game otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it came out
I know.
about when the PlayStation 2 came out.
Right. So my point being, I do think at some point that system did not survive.
Yeah.
And we got another one. But it does also surprise me that it's maybe Dad got a PlayStation 3 earlier than
he
that.
definitely had something over there.
I know he did. I just don't remember what was what. But I'm confident that I played the original Kingdom Hearts because I got the Ultima weapon and there's no way that I was gonna do that now. I would never do that now. It's way too hard. Used to be very easy. Not very easy, but with a guide used to be pretty easy. And I beat Dance Water Dance on my first try by pure freaking luck. Didn't even realize it was supposed to be hard. Just pure luck.
Some absolute BS.
This sounds like a lie, but I swear it is true.
I remember when I beat Kingdom Hearts 2, this is way before the turn of the decades. We need to get off this topic. But I remember I had to pause it in the middle of the last battle and go eat dinner and come back. Because the last battle took me 45 minutes.
Right.
I wasn't dying. It just
was really slow.
Kept going, yeah. But Madelyn, what are some of your games of the decade? Keep it to 5, because I'm not going to go through my whole 20. I'm just going to go to 5.
That was weird of you. Do you want games that were released in this decade, or games that were... Okay, well,
Again,
whatever.
Madelyn. Little baby Madelyn. You can do what's best for you.
I just wanted to talk about, I had a real bonding experience over Age of Mythology in, 2010 or so, with, people. It was, one of my first experiences
Age of Mythology cannot be a game of the decade.
I wasn't calling it a game of the decade. I just wanted to shout it out as, a bonding experience over games. I haven't had that many of those this decade with, a wide variety of people, right? Mm-hmm. It was nice. That's all. So thank you, Age of Mythology. Let's get a remake.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Shall we? They're remaking Age of Empires, right? I feel like I saw that.
Or making a new one? I think making a new one.
What new empires are there? Just kidding. Okay, one of my games of the decade, and this is not really a serious one, but in many ways is a very serious one, is Castle Crashers. Because we have played a lot of Castle Crashers.
See, I feel like I looked that up and it didn't actually originally come out this decade, but I'll give it to you.
I think that you are wrong. You're going to talk about one of your games of the decade, and I'm going to look this up.
Okay. My number 5 game of the decade. Yeah, it came out in like 2008, right?
You're right, but this is for Xbox. Okay, I need to dig a little more. Go ahead.
Okay. I just meant the original. I know the PlayStation 3 came out this decade.
Well, you know that I don't count the Xbox. The PlayStation 3 version, which is the one that we played, came out on August 31st, 2010.
Yeah.
So, fine. It's not my top game of the decade. I just wanted to call it out as a game that I thought was released this decade that was important in my gaming life. So I'm just gonna go cry for a little bit, and you can talk about one of yours, and I'll tell you why it's bad.
My 5th game of the decade, my number 5 game of the decade is, I believe, it's Transistor by Supergiant Games, which you play as a singer with a big sword that has the ghost of her dead boyfriend in it.
Neat.
Yeah, it is really neat. I really like all of Supergiant's games. I haven't finished Pyre, and it's been a while since I went to Hades. I think I might be waiting till I can rebuy it on a console, and I don't really know when that will be. But I really liked Bastion, and obviously I really, really liked Transistor. It has a very killer soundtrack, and it has sort of a nice balance between like real time and sort of tactical gameplay, I guess, that I really enjoyed.
Is it a game like, did she kill her boyfriend? Don't tell me it's a spoiler. Did she kill her boyfriend?
No, like somebody was trying to kill her with this sword, and instead it hit her boyfriend because he was protecting.
So if I play this around Clickbait Boyfriend, will it make him sad?
I mean,
knowing that he's very sensitive to this kind of thing.
No, I think it has an overall happy ending.
Okay.
And they have this like one guy who does voices for them. I think it's someone who works for them, but he did the narrator in Bastion too, who's the boyfriend voice. He just has a very good like soothing sort of voice because he talks to you throughout. Because you have also lost your voice.
But you're a singer.
Yeah, but they've like sort of taken it from you.
Gotcha.
This organization.
A Little Mermaid kind of situation.
Yeah, so it's mostly him talking to you and you speaking through your actions. So
it's important.
Yeah.
It's an important one.
Yeah. And there's it's a fun little world and lots of fun stuff going on, so you can get it, I think, on all systems. And on the PlayStation 4, he'll talk to you through your controller.
I don't like that. That's one of my least favorite functionalities of the decade.
I did, so I usually play games with headphones on just because I'm used to it. But I took it out for Death Stranding for a while right before I got into a boss battle, and then I had to put them back in because, oh my god, the baby crying through my controller, like, made it about 20 times harder. I needed to lower that difficulty.
She couldn't handle
with
it,
the
folks.
headphones.
She couldn't handle it. One game that does not feature on our game of the decade list, I feel confident is not on yours, is Fortnite.
Yeah,
Remember when we played it that one time?
Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun. Should we play Fortnite again?
There was some game, was it Fortnite that was introducing couch co-op?
Fortnite could not be introducing couch co-op.
I think it might have been, though. It was either that or Apex Legends, or something to that effect.
If Fortnite is introducing couch co-op, I might play it.
I mean, you still have to go online, right?
That's fine.
But, like, you can have your party there. I believe so. You can double check me on this, but I feel like I read something about it.
Interesting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That means that I need more couch co-op games. Local co-op.
Yeah.
I hope it's coming back in style. Let's see. Another one of my games of the decade. I don't have a formal ranking because, of course, I didn't think this through that much. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tales of the Borderlands as one of my games.
That's on my list, too.
As the game that sort of got me into games.
Mm-hmm.
Not because anything about that game in particular was like, yes, video games, you should play these again. But because I was playing it, if you're a longtime listener, you might remember, at the beginning of our podcast tenure, And so that, of course, was a time that I started to really think about video games again and play video games again and be a person that knew anything about gaming.
Yeah.
Because at one point, folks, I tried to pretend that the side games were not important. I've evolved a lot this decade. Things have changed.
Yeah. No, Tales from the Borderlands is number 10 on my list.
Tales from the Borderlands is super fun, super funny. Even if I was like, oh, my choices don't matter, that's okay. I'm trying to grow and be the bigger person. I do think it's a little dumb that I was so nice to Handsome Jack the whole time. He still stabbed me in the back in the exact same way as if I had been nasty to him the whole time.
To be fair, that's just who Handsome Jack is.
I don't like that. I would like something about it to have been different.
Anyway, before Madeline gets on her Telltale tangent, which we
have
been without for about a year and a half now, and we'd like to keep it that way.
The throwback.
Tales from the Borderlands was like a labor of love for that studio because they pretty much canceled it before episode 5 came out. So it's a testament also to the broken business practices at Telltale that eventually led it to destruction. But a very good game, clearly made by people who really cared about it.
And now those characters, did we ever find out why one of those famous voice actors, I can't remember which one, Troy Baker?
He said it's because the union.
Right, but like, did we ever figure out what that actually was?
No. I mean, whatever. Like, Gearbox sucks anyway, so...
Everybody say it with us.
This was like, the last few years has just been Troy Baker being like, why won't people call me for my roles when they're remastering it?
Yeah.
Poor guy, he's too famous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's your turn.
My turn? Okay, number 4. I feel like I'll have to hop back and do some highlights, but number 4 was Celeste.
Nice.
Which I played on the Switch. Great game for the Switch. Some of the games I played on the Switch have been like, man, I wish I had put this on something else.
Worst game of the decade, The Escapist 2. Anyway.
That's not quite what I meant, but I mean, like, Celeste is very fun to, like, pick up and go with you. But it's a hard game that is also very forgiving, I think, in that, like, there's no, like, you don't have to load through anything. When you die, you're just right back where you are, starting over again. It keeps track of your deaths, but also encourages you to think positively about the amount there, that the more you have, the more that you're learning. It's a game that recognizes that its difficulty is important, but also that difficulty might make it less accessible to other people, and therefore provides opportunities for anyone to play through the game, which I think is important. I saw someone on Twitter yesterday being like, if you use the rewind feature in the SNES stuff on the Switch, you didn't beat the game. Don't lie to yourself. It's like, okay, man. But this is very much does not have that attitude, which I think is very nice. It's also just a really lovely story about learning to accept the parts of yourself that you don't like.
And it's about a character named Madeline.
Madeline.
Okay. Did they say it out loud?
I know, but it's spelled Madeline. I don't know if you wanted to claim that as your name.
I didn't, but, you know, it's probably pronounced like Madeline.
Sure, yeah.
Remember when we used to do, like, our Kickstarter game day, and there was one called Madeline?
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to that game.
Look it up.
I'm gonna have to. I'd forgotten about it until I started bragging about my name, and now I'm gonna have to check it out. Speaking of names, one of my games of the decade, mostly because of what I named my character, is Persona 5.
Mm-hmm.
Naming my character Champ McDude. Truly a stroke of genius that I cannot hope to emulate ever.
Yeah, it was really good.
It really made the game much more entertaining, made me feel much more connected to my character.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss Champ. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Well, will I get to play as a woman in Persona 5 Royal?
No.
So I can't make Josh name his character Lady McDowell.
No, the new female character is not the protagonist.
Wow.
Sorry.
Champ is kind of ambiguous, though. Sorta. He's got hair that could be a woman's haircut, maybe.
Sure.
A bold woman's
You can
haircut.
headcanon it that way. I won't take it away from you.
Yeah. But yeah, Persona 5, one of the first truly epic games, not from Epic Games, that I played in this decade, that has, took me over a year to finish. Mostly because I played it in real fits and spurts for a while until about this time last year or so. But really enjoyed it. And one of the first, actual JRPGs. Kingdom Hearts is, sort of a JRPG. The Disney kind of dilutes it, I feel like.
It's not... I wouldn't necessarily call it an RPG to begin with, is the thing. I feel like we get a tendency of, throwing JRPG onto any game from Japan. When Kingdom Hearts is more of an action-adventure sort of thing.
J-action-adventure.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's one of the first of those that I really played, and really, really prepped me well for Pokemon this year, type advantages, and all that. And it was super fun. And even though I did try to romance all of the women in a way that was not consistent with Champ Dude McDude being a witty, cool guy, I have no regrets. Looking forward to the Royal. Looking forward to Akechi for sure living to the end.
Who knows?
You know.
I know, I did. I looked up spoilers. I'm more excited for the Phantom Strikers.
What?
The Musou one. The Dynasty Warriors one.
Oh, right. I'd forgotten about that. Right, not the Switch.
Yeah.
Phantom Strikers. Oh, that's so funny.
I think it will be on the Switch.
Right, but it's not.
Come on. Yeah. I'm more excited for that one than I am for the Royal.
That's real.
Anything else about Persona 5?
It was good. You should play it.
Put that as the tagline.
It was good. You should play it. I saw a tweet about somebody recommending it to a dad for his
weeaboo.
Yeah. And then people were like, "How dare you recommend this? Like it's not appropriate." And the person was like, "I told him that, and he said it was fine."
Yeah. I'm sure they didn't force it onto him with covering the M very carefully.
It's for kids.
My number 3 game of the decade was Kingdom Hearts 3, but since we've already talked about that, I'll talk about one of the more surprising additions on my list for me.
Fortnite.
No.
Call of Duty.
No.
Madden 2013.
No. It's that I put Final Fantasy 15 as number 11.
Oh, you've jumped back on the list.
Yes, I wanted to talk about something more surprising that I put on there.
I did. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just startled. I was very surprised.
Well, I was thinking as I was first making it, I was like, oh, it'll be an honorable mention, because I've thought so much about it since it came out, that it has to be on there somewhere, but I don't know if it's good enough of a game to, actually make the list. But then I started thinking about, my criteria for this a little bit, and I'm like, well, I'm obviously not making this the best of this decade, right? I'm not trying to make an objective list of, the most perfectly crafted games.
It's about favoritude.
It's the favoritude aspect. And, Final Fantasy 15 is a game that has really grown on me a lot the further out we've gotten from its release. And, it's not that I didn't like it at the time, too. It's just that there were aspects of it that did disappoint me. But the further out we've gotten to it, the less that it sort of mattered in my thinking back on it. And, there were so many good things in that game. I don't know. There's so much fondness in how I think about, how I made them camp and go to hotel rooms, and they would have little, they'd show little animations as the XP would go up of them, eating dinner together or playing cards, or I would spend, half an hour fishing, doing the fishing minigame, or Prompto would wake my character Noctis up in the morning to go take a photo with a giant monster. It's the only, big open world game this decade that I've really been able to get into, and I think it's because it the fact that you're with party members provides more direction for going out places. Because it wasn't like, oh, there's an empty area I haven't explored over here, I guess I'll go fill it in. It was like, oh, maybe there'll be more ingredients so Ignis can make us more recipes. Or Prompto would be like, hey, look, there's a photo spot over there. Can we stop there for a second? And I'd be like, hell yeah, sure, man, we can stop there for a second. And then something would happen and go like that. So, yeah, the good parts of that game were, like, so good that they've sort of, instead of being soured by the parts closer to the end of the game that I didn't like as much, they have just gotten, you know, they've shined out those parts. So it sort of skyrocketed up the list. Like, I really recommend that game. It's got a lot of jank, but it's a lot of, you know, good jank.
I sound like some jank in the trank. Well, I think I have to reserve my top 2 slots for Kingdom Hearts, the story so far.
Uh-huh.
It's one collection, so I can put it all together. Because, you know, I have spent more time thinking about that series than any other gaming series this decade. Not just because I like it and I play all of it, but because I counted it. This last one for Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the 60th Clickbait Boyfriend.
Wow.
So I've written 60 blogs about just Josh's thoughts on Clickbait Boyfriend, let alone, actually one of those might be the Clickbait Girlfriend. So 59 blogs.
Still, though.
I've probably missed tagging one at some point, so there may be more. Just about Josh's thoughts on the game, and, you know, mine also, but let alone anything else.
Yeah.
Let alone, because we wrote our 13 thoughts for or 13 questions or whatever it was.
For Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah.
So there are even more blogs about it. And thought about it a lot and talk about it all the time in my apartment, and every once in a while CBB just goes ba 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 ba, and I'll stop there. But you know, so I think about the series a lot. Emma's wearing Kingdom Hearts socks right now. Something about that. You all want to hear my story about GameStop?
No.
I had to buy Emma a Kingdom Hearts socks advent calendar.
You had to.
I don't have a choice. So can you see that? I could have gotten you the Keyblade backpack or the Sora Face backpack.
Oh,
would you like
no,
that better?
No, thank you.
I had to ask the game. It was locked onto the thing. I had to ask them to get it off. So that's how big a fan I am. I also almost got you the, like, statues. There's, like, a big Goofy one. There's also a big Donald and Mickey one. Thought about that. Those were expensive. I didn't think you would like them. Anyway, it really ignited that spark that I now need in all of my media of big friendship energy, which is something that I feel like was not something I realized I really valued in entertainment. And now I literally cannot watch shows that do not feature or play games that do not feature big friendship energy. And it truly lit the fire of hatred in me towards Mickey Mouse, which will come in handy when we have to rebel and overthrow our Disney overlords. And yeah, it's exciting. I like Kingdom Hearts. I continue to believe that it will one day all make sense, despite everyone around me telling me that it will not. Another memorable moment of video game connection for me, actually, in this year, was that Clickbait's boyfriend's parents were visiting on the day that Kingdom Hearts came out. We had dinner reservations at a very fancy restaurant that Josh had made without consulting me. That's not totally true, but he was like, oh, it's this day. And I was like, oh, it's that day, huh? Oh. Very hard to get reservations at this restaurant, though. It was very good. Whatever. But, like, we were talking, like, he was talking about it. He was like, oh, yeah, this game Madelyn really likes and I play. He's, like, not, you know, distancing himself a little bit. Like, comes out today. And one of the waiters came by.
Oh, right.
And
I
was
remember
like,
you telling
are you talking about Kingdom Hearts? Like, I can't wait to get home and play it. Like, I thought about calling in sick. And it was just this moment of, like, yes. What do you think is in the box? And then we never found out. Not that I asked the waiter that, but every time I saw the waiter walking around, I was like, I know you. Yeah, I'm doing a gesture right now that actually came across as pretty threatening, so I'm glad that didn't play. But yeah. You know, I think in the 2020s we're going to discover that Pluto is, in fact, the ultimate seeker of darkness.
If only.
If only, indeed. So yeah, you don't really need to waste any more time talking about Kingdom Hearts. Go read the blogs.
Yeah.
I have 60 blogs worth of content about why it's my game of the decade.
Yeah. Let's see. My number 2 game of the decade. I cheated a little bit on this.
Typical.
I sort of did. But it's Persona 3 Portable. So this technically came out in 2009 in Japan, but it didn't come out over here until pretty deep into 2010.
Okay, Castle Crashers came out on the Xbox in 2008.
But it came out like November 2009, so even if you had gotten it 2009 and started playing it, I severely doubt anyone but the most dedicated could have done it before, 2010.
Okay, sure, we'll just put a little asterisk.
Yeah, it's got a little asterisk. And I just love it too much to just leave it off the list just for a silly technicality like that. I was really quite put out by the fact that so Kingdom Hearts 3, like I said, is number 3, but it really should have been 358 over 2 days, but that came out in 2009.
That's no good.
So troublesome.
Should have started the podcast sooner.
I know. So yeah, Persona 3 Portable. It's got the hallmarks of the Persona games that Madelyn has talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It's older, so it's got a bit less stuff to it. Yeah, a bit less ease of use. But the fact that it is portable means that there's a bit less walking around. It's structured a bit more like a visual novel outside of the dungeon themes, just because of how the PSP works, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, you can play as the female main character. And it also cut out some of the more, just as a warning, unlike the Royal does, cuts out some of the more tasteless jokes of the original Persona 3.
Great.
I was really hoping that the Royal would cut those out, but it apparently does not.
It's too much to hope for.
So fair warning. But the original Persona 3 had some rather tasteless jokes that are gone in Persona 3 Portable for the most part. It doesn't just like plop a girl in, it actually engages with the fact that you are a girl and therefore changes your relationships with the people around you. Junpei's jealousy of you becomes much more sort of awkwardly steeped in sexism that they actually sort of deal with and address. He's like the best friend character.
I got you. I picked up on it.
Yeah. And there's just very good social links and very good battling, and I think the end of the game has a very strong message about doing your part to make the world a better place, I guess. And how important our connections to others can be.
Find the hearts joined to yours.
Yes. I played this a lot, going back and forth on the metro to my internship at Digit. I would just pull it up and do a little bit of Tartarusing, and then hop back to the entrance and save and, close it up. It was just, I had a very good time with it, and the final boss battle took me 2 hours. I have a video, I have a YouTube playlist of things to listen to at work that's just, instrumental music. And I have the final boss music, it's, an extended version that's, 20 minutes. And all the comments are like, why'd you shorten it?
No.
This is a 2-hour-long song. Come on now. Because I died the first time about 40 minutes into it and had to start over. And then it took me, an hour and a half. It's a very, very long boss battle. So I think that's probably my favorite Persona. I really did like Persona 5, too. I really did not like Persona 4.
Rank your Personas of the decade. Nice. That was good.
I don't know when the original Persona 4 came out. I don't know if it came out this decade. I haven't played Golden.
Feels like it has to have come out after Persona 3.
Yes, after Persona 3, but not necessarily after Persona 3 Portable. I think
so.
That they changed up Portable a little bit based on some of the quality of life stuff they'd done in Persona 4.
Oh, interesting.
But then they put out Persona 4 Golden, which is the lots of additions to it, which I have not played because I do not own a Vita. Yeah.
Well, let me pepper in, 'cause I'm done with my games of the decade list. I mean,
Sure.
I could just like talk about other games I've played, but I won't do that. Let me pepper in some superlatives.
Sure.
From Madelyn Land. So some best songs of the decade. Obviously, Katamari Damacy songs did not come out this decade, but Katamari Forever did come out this decade. So I can throw in any of the Katamari soundtrack I want,
Sure.
which are pretty much the best video game songs of all time. You can fight me, but you're wrong. Same with Kingdom Hearts, right? You know, any of those. Face My Fears. Face Your Fears, not Face My Fears. Yikes. Really grew on me.
Isn't it Face My Fears?
Shoot, it is Face My Fears.
Oh gosh, Ron, you doubted yourself.
I really like it because even the lyrics are a time loop.
Yeah.
Because she starts in the middle of a sentence and then goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Which, like, how dare you? How dare you? I know it was on purpose. How dare you? The Pokemon Gym Battle music is a late entry.
It's a
But
banger.
a strong entry. Chant it along whenever you need some motivation. Never Saw It Come In is a good one. Probably has a real title, but you know, I don't want to sing anything because it's bad to do.
Oh, okay.
Again, for me, get ready for Dead Nation, Rise Up Like a Vortex Cortex. I know it's not Dead Nation, but I'm going to keep saying it that way.
Okay.
And then, of course, you know, Ai Itma from Nier.
Oh, yeah, the Pascal's Village music? Okay.
Banger.
Banger. I love nothing more than choral children chanting at me. That's what I call a
You know
banger.
What? It is the one that I go around singing all the time. The Tetris of this decade, or these Game of the Decade list, is Minecraft.
Yeah.
Safe choice. Not a wrong choice, but a safe choice.
It feels like a fair choice, you know, but...
Sure, but it reveals that you have no perspective of your own. Just saying. The game that you should play while you travel, I already talked about this, Civilization, especially if you have someone who will play a co-op match with you, because you can squeeze in little naps while they play. And finally, I tried to put together a list of my, ideal group of, friend confidants. Or whatever, you know, whatever game world you want to put me in. Okay. Hearts joined to mine. Okay. Or whatever. So starting with the original confidants, I was I thought about Makoto, but not because she's the best girl. But I think that maybe we are a little too similar. Not to say that I'm the best girl. But I think we are a little too similar, and then we might butt heads a little bit, but that's okay. I need a rival.
Okay.
Yusuke, because I need another artist train wreck.
Let me date Yusuke. Let me date him.
Emma personally wants to date Yusuke. I haven't played Stardew Valley long enough, or in a long enough time to have vivid memories. I married Shane, but I think in hindsight that was just a desire to fix him, and it worked. But
oh dear.
But I remember Demetrius being very cool. The dad.
This means a lot to me.
You didn't play it. He was the dad. He's. I don't know if they're in America, so I can't. He's the black dad, who had 2 kids and was married to someone, but he was very cool. He was sciencey, always nice to me. Couldn't steal him from his wife. That would have not been wholesome enough. I need Hip around to push me to be always doing a little bit better.
You mean Hop?
Your name is Hip. I also want Hip around. I want Emma's Hip around. That's what I was talking about. With your pink pants.
With my pink pants.
To look cool and inspire me to do a little better in style, and then Hop to be around to just inspire me to be a slightly better person.
Yeah.
But also, Makoto is my real rival. My true intellectual equal.
Yeah.
And Hop is just go.
He's your team yell?
No, not like that. Hop wouldn't be like that. He's just pushing me to do better, but I am better than him.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah.
I would also like Sonia's Yamper.
Yes,
not
me too.
Sonia, just the Yamper.
Just her Yamper.
Not there's anything wrong with Sonia. Nothing. I have nothing against Sonia, but I feel like that role has already been filled by Makoto.
Yeah,
so
sure.
We'll just take the Yamper. I need Joshua from The World Ends With You.
Really?
And Lynn from Fire Emblem.
Okay.
I think they would hit it off.
Would they?
I think they'd be a good pair.
That's sure a fan fiction that you're writing.
I don't mean like romantically.
I don't.
Although I do a little.
Even still.
I just think like they'd be a fun friend duo to have around. I do. Ignatz can come too. Looks I think Ignatz and Yusuke
They'd be best
would
friends.
be good buddies.
Yeah.
Would they be best friends?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I need Sedith. He's not really in our friend group. He's like teaching this imaginary high school class that we put together.
Yeah.
He's also our dad.
Uh-huh.
No explanation needed there.
Yeah.
Sedith from Fire Emblem, if you didn't play the game. Ignatz also from Fire Emblem. The sisters from Wolfenstein, but only when they are jumping in that funny way.
Yeah.
Not otherwise. Otherwise, no good. They're too peppy. But
how about when they're morphing their skulls together so they can see the inside of each other's
it's
eyeballs?
not that kind of an anime.
Okay.
We're not gonna have the sisters morphing their skulls together.
What is this a reference
I don't know. Axel, again, just to supply ice cream.
Sure.
He's our snacks guy.
He's your dealer.
Also, he can get things from the shelves. I don't know if I picked anyone else who's very tall.
Fair enough.
Being a tall guy. And finally, Kiryu from Yakuza, which I feel like could have been a stronger thing on my list had I played more than 7 or 8 hours of it. Because he's down for anything.
Yeah.
No doubt, many more. Do you have a? I mean, I don't want to go ahead and talk about your game of the decade, but also if you have folks you would like to be your friends.
I have not thought about that at all, so I could not prepare you for that.
Well,
I
think about it in your own free time.
I will think about it in my own free time.
There's plenty of other things I could pepper in there. I thought about including Neocortex, but I just didn't feel like I knew him well enough.
Yeah, I feel like you would throw off the group balance.
The vibe.
Yeah, the vibe.
Yeah.
Bring his bad vibes in there.
Thought about Gandhi from Civilization, and I was like, maybe not.
Well, it's Madelyn spoiled at the beginning of this episode.
I didn't do it on purpose. I was just making jokes.
I know. It's fine. My game of the decade is Nier Automata.
You want me to walk out of the room so you can talk about it?
No, it's okay. I was just trying to think about it vaguely. Mal's never going to finish it anyway.
Yes, I am.
Anyway. Yeah, Nier Automata is just... It has a story that sort of makes more sense as you go.
As most stories do.
Yeah, but like it sort of like circles back around on itself to make certain things that at the beginning of the game you're like, why is this happening? To be sort of clear and tragic in their ways. Unlike its predecessor, which I think it's a strength in its own way, but Nier Automata definitely wears its heart more on its sleeve. It sort of gives itself away for what it is closer to the beginning. Yeah, it has probably one of the best uses. Death Stranding is probably the only other game that I think uses asynchronous online connectivity as well as Nier Automata does. And again, I just think I like games that have a strong messages about caring about others and about how hard it is to care about others and why you should do it anyway. And that is definitely the ultimate message of Nier Automata. And perhaps even the message that maybe it's not as hard to care about others as you think it is. Even if it's hard to understand them. And again, unlike a lot of the other games that Yoko Taro's made, it has a relatively hopeful ending, I think, which I appreciate in these times, in these dark times. It's nice to see art that can acknowledge that, yeah, things suck, but it can also, like, it doesn't have to be like this, you know? Like, we can change ourselves to be better. And yeah, I think that's why.
A few things I want to point out. One, when Emma said talking about people who were difficult to understand, she pointedly looked at me.
I didn't mean it like that.
She was like, oh, it's about, like, caring people, even when they're difficult to understand.
That's not how I meant it. I was just trying to include you in the conversation.
It's fine. I just wanted them to get a visual kind of idea of that. Two, Nier Automata is also great for allowing a variety of playstyles.
Yes, it is.
From intended to real dumb.
That being said, you should, when you start the game, you should start on normal, and then you can up it to a higher difficulty if you want. But
what I meant is that you can either play the game or you can play like a 10% of the game.
yeah.
And you just a hot tip for anyone trying to play it. Those dots on the map
Our side
do
quests
refer to things that you should maybe check out.
Yes.
One of my more iconic video game moments of the year was that.
Were those your two things? Were those your two additions?
Yeah, that was my two additions.
Okay.
Other addition, Emma's, how many times do you think you're going to cry at the concert?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to cry as soon as I can spot Yoko Taro in the crowd.
Another addition, have you seen Yoko Taro's end-of-year survey responses?
I haven't read them yet, but I read last year's, and I'm really looking forward
You're
to
going to have to check them out. It was pretty... the two have very different tones.
Yeah. There was a lot of good video game music this decade, but I think it goes to Nier Automata for me. In terms of just, man, I love those songs.
Well, folks, I think that about wraps it up for this decade of Talk This.
Heck yeah.
We're excited to go into decade number 2 of the show.
Yeah.
We're very close to our 3rd anniversary.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And excited to spend more time talking to you all about video games. So let us know.
Is it our 3rd anniversary or a 4th?
We started it in January 2017.
So
It's our 3rd anniversary. We will be headed into our 4th
third.
year.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
See, this is why Emma couldn't figure out the Pokemon thing, because she doesn't know how to count.
I don't know how to count.
So don't hire her to do, like, Pokeball math.
Yes, I'm not a math person.
Well, okay. But do talk to us about this episode. What's your game of the year? What's your game of the decade? What's your friend buddies from video games of this decade list? I'm going to make Emma tell me about it when we wrap up here, after we look at Yoko Taro's bonkers answers to those surveys. What's your least favorite game of the decade? That's for listeners, but I started to think about it and
I
got
started
distracted.
thinking about it too.
I was like, what are your most iconic video game moments in the decade? Here's one from the past month. Emma getting her head stuck between 2 poles in Human Fall Flat. Who would have thought that would leave such an indelible impact on me? I sure didn't. So yeah. Lots of good stuff. Engage with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Talk This Podcast, YouTube, at Talk This Sisters. I know one of our resolutions is to get that YouTube channel running with content again.
Heck yeah.
So now's the time to subscribe and follow us on the various socials. It's also a good time, it's always a good time, to check out our website, www.talkthispodcast.com. We're going to spiff it up in the new year, too.
Yeah.
Spiffy new hosting.
Probably spiffy coming soon, so if there are any website issues, that's probably why.
Yeah. So if it gets some jank in the trank over these next couple weeks, bear with us. Swanky new website coming soon. You like that?
It was good.
I liked it. But on the website, regardless of swank or jank, from jank to swank, that'd be a good reality series. You can read all the games that are in the hat. Next week we're doing Quake and Baba Is You.
Yep.
You can read about us. You should probably read a bio that is up to date about my life now.
Yep.
I suppose my life went
Well,
nice.
since we're updating the website, we should really update the website.
New pictures, all that stuff. And also the blog, where you can read very long-running series now. Clickbait Boyfriend. Clickbait Boyfriend is over 2 years old. In life and as a blog series.
That's what I was going to say.
And Split Screen, which I think is like a year and a half.
Yeah, though you wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't know it. For a while, for like half a year, we had up 2 blogs a week.
I know.
Maybe in 2020 we'll get back to something like that.
One day.
So check those out. Check out Split Screen. We're watching Coffee Prince. We're watching My Hero Academia. It's good stuff. And all the various other hodgepodge of blogs. I'll probably resurrect Buzz This sometime soon. And the most important part, the last one of 2019, you should subscribe to the show. Yeah. Is your New Year's resolution to listen to more podcasts and do something more productive on your commute than scrolling through your phone or listening to your favorite light rock radio station? Then you should subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. Emma's doing a dance. That's not a podcast host. It's just what she's doing. Did I already say Spotify? I don't know. I got distracted. Pandora Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Cast Among Us. Any of those podcast places you can find Talk This. You should subscribe on the client of your choice. Leave us a rating and review if you're feeling especially generous. But it makes us feel all nice to have listeners out there listening to us talk about games and talking to us about games too. So if your resolution is to do anything in 2020, it should be to listen to more Talk This.
Heck yeah.
Oh boy, there's a lot of pressure for the send-off.
Yeah, I think you should do it. Do it in your Madelyn way.
That was really rude. All right, I got it. All right, listeners, I hope in 2020 you go from jank to swank.